Welcome, everyone. This is Walt Kasmir having critical conversations. I only bring you the best and the brightest, and when I do, we have relevant conversations about some of the most important topics facing every single family, millions across the country every week. Today is one of my favorite topics, personal development and achievement. And without further ado, I want to introduce you to a achiever, a trendsetter, an innovator. This guy has so many titles, but he has achieved something monumental here recently. And this brother is none other than Finch. He is the host of Get Your Ass Off the Fence. He motivates, inspires, and has relevant conversations every week with distinguished panelists. So let me introduce you to one of my favorite people in the whole world, Finch.
Hey man, listen, it's such an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today. And what better way to start off the year than talking about self development? Because I think self improvement should be the key for everybody. And I've never looked at accolades as the pinnacle, but they are, I would say, noteworthy because you do all this hard work and you want to be rewarded for the hard work you do, and you want to see the fruits of your labor. So it all makes sense.
So, brother, we won't tease the people that long. People, I have the privilege of introducing you to an award-winning podcaster. Just in the last week or two, Finch, his podcast was awarded the top 200 spot by Apple Podcasts, and they were recognized by iHeartRadio as one of the favorites. Brother, can you tell us just a little bit about that journey?
Man, it's one of those things where I got into podcasting right at the height of the pandemic, just to have what I call conversations with people I deem to be trailblazers and serial entrepreneurs. And initially, we wanted to help people, get off the fence, which is why the podcast is named "Off the Fence with Finch." And so, when I got the email, I think it was last Friday, from Apple saying, "Hey, your podcast has been named to Apple's top 200 podcasts," and I was like, "Whoa, really?" Like, initially, like, I mean, if it hadn't come from an official email, I probably would have thought it was a prank or some type of joke. But that that alone says, the work that we do is not in vain. And one of the things my wife had been telling me lately, leading up to this, was, "Hey, your hard work is not in vain. Just keep hitting it." And so, to be named to one of Apple's top 200 podcasts. Now, people got to get these stats. Apple has over 500,000 podcasts. So, you know,
Incredible.
to be in the top 200 is commendable, and it says a lot about the team of people that works with me in my podcast, and what we are doing to kind of build that momentum and get more people listening, and get more asses off the fence.
Now that's a catchy title, but it's almost self-explanatory. But man, give the people a little bit of an insider perspective of where you were coming from when you came up with that title.
Great question. So when you look at life, a host of people are, life in the current form of how they live it, it's just not enough. Let's face it. We want more money. We want to have more education. We want to have better jobs. We want better relationships. And so, in sense, if you are a person that's looking to enhance your life, your career, your relationships, and even your finances, then I come in and clear the fence so that you have a greater opportunity to scale or climb over whatever hurdle you might be facing in that realm, or whatever category that may go in. And I always try to teach my audience is how to mute their mind, how to attack their uncertainty, and how to boost their confidence, which is what the show is about. And in doing all of that, we help people get off whatever fence they're sitting on.
That's awesome, Mo. So people, if you're interested in viewing Finch's podcast, it is, you can't miss it. Just enter off the fence
There you
Finch,
go.
any of those things in any social media, and you will definitely find him. I mean,
A-
he's in the top
and make
200 of
sure they
Apple
know.
Podcasts.
There you go. Make sure they know. People don't understand when supporting a podcast like Critical Conversations or Off the Fence. It's so vital that you go subscribe to
Oh
the
yeah.
streaming platforms. Go subscribe, leave comments, download them, share them with your friends, your family.
Yeah.
If you find a topic, a subject that resonates with you, think about all the other people it could resonate with,
Hmm.
and you want to share that. Share it on your social media. You know, it's not that we want you to advertise freely for us, but it
Hmm.
helps us, quality podcasts stay on the air because let's be honest, podcasting costs money. You know what I'm saying? It costs to produce quality podcasts. And if you are a beginning podcaster, medium size, and you look like, hey, I don't know what to do, because we're talking about self-development. How you develop is you create something that's unique, and you yourself are unique, but you create something that's unique and then you push it out to the masses and you be consistent. I was telling Walt during the break, if the whole marker for you being a successful podcaster or one that says you have staying power is if you can do 100 episodes without quitting. If you can do 100 episodes without quitting, then you have something quality and it's something that you really want to do, and it's going to resonate with a host of people, and you yourself are going to be extremely successful doing it. But we need your support. So the downloads, the sharing, and the liking of the podcast on the streaming platforms. If you got a podcast that's doing video like we do, then on the YouTube, subscribing to that YouTube, clicking on that notification bell so you know every time that podcast goes live or they drop a new episode of video or any content. That helps with the algorithm, and it helps those podcasters rise up and be noticeable and become one of Apple's top 200 podcasts.
That is incredible. Honestly, I'm not surprised. I mean, I know from when we got started in audio video, and I mean, I was a rank novice, but I mean, you just embraced it and immersed yourself in it, and just took it from new level to new level to new level. So I'm not surprised. Now you
Wow.
just given us some gems, but can you give the aspiring podcasters a few more tips or secrets or hacks about how they can develop succeeding habits so they can produce effective podcasts?
Great question. Another great question. So what I believe is, if you want quality, and you talked a moment ago about when we started. I mean, when we met, I had just started. I had literally just learned. I think finished a couple classes in audio, and so it was something so new to me. And then I was thrown into the fire when it came to video production. But one of the key things I learned back then that I utilize even now is your preparation is the key. I think sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, ladies and gentlemen, we just fly by night it, like, oh, I'm gonna wing it, and that's one of the most detrimental things a new podcaster can do to themselves is try to wing it. Have a plan. And it doesn't matter. Like I have an outline every week, a show rundown every week. Sometimes I might get to everything on my list. Sometimes I may not, but I have a plan. Because if you don't have a plan and you're not planning and preparing for your podcast, you're not going to resonate with your audiences. You're gonna be scrambling, and then when things don't let something happen that you didn't plan for, because that's going to throw you all the way off. And I've had that happen with me. I've had guests not show up, after we've had them booked for weeks and sometimes months. I've had all kind of equipment things happen, but when you are prepared, you can just keep going and keep building. That's one of the key elements to you being successful. Be prepared, then be unique. There's so many voices out here in the podcast category. You don't want to be you don't want to be a carbon copy of somebody else. Be
Mhm.
yourself, because who you are is what makes you special. So, be authentic, be unique, and speak with confidence, but when you're doing your podcast, I have to remind myself of this too, Walt, is slow down your speech, slow it down, take a couple of deep breaths and kind of move with the motion. But
Right.
when you have a plan, when you're prepared with a plan, you utilize your unique voice. Guess what happens? You get rewards. You get named to Apple's top 200 podcasts. You get named as one of the favorites on iHeart. You get interviews from the UK and all across the country because you have something that people want. And everybody that's may watch this or listen to this, you have something that people need and desire. You just got to show up and deliver it.
I'm so glad you said that because I was actually going to ask you to mention that. And I think that it's obvious that you have it. You've had it for years. And that's why, Hollywood and all these other people, the brands want you to be ambassadors and all that because you have it. Mm. Now, I know you can't package the it up and give it to the people, but that's good that you are telling the people that dig in, find their own individual authentic voice and project that and not try to be a poor copy of someone else.
That part.
And you are excellent at that. I mean, I've watched you over the years and I'm like, this guy, I'm just glad to even just know this guy, this guy. And I mean, you have most of the intangibles that people need. And those intangibles, I think, are really what makes people winners. For instance, resilience.
Yeah.
I mean, it hasn't just been one steady ascension to success for you.
Right.
And I'm sure you haven't told me a fraction of the things, but you still maintain that positive energy. You still get up and keep going and then learn and then take it to the next level. So I know you've written books and you give all types of advice. You have all types of experts on your show. Can you speak to the people a little bit more about personal development and resilience?
Well, let's think about what personal development is. That is you developing who you are. And that could come in a number of categories. We go off to college because we're hoping to become something better than what we were. We get new jobs because we want to enhance and improve our lifestyles. You know what I'm saying? And so when you start looking at how you develop yourself, you have to start with what you know. That's the key, because what you don't know is what will keep you stuck and keep you on the fence, per se. And so, you got to start there. What is it that you know? And then you got to look at what is it that you need to know in order for you to move past where you currently are to where you desire to be. And although I think it's okay to look at how somebody else did something, meaning looking at their model, not necessarily looking at the activities that they did, because everything they did may not work for you because you don't house their personality. In our world we live in, unfortunately, there's a lot of evil people. So they may be willing to cut corners, be cutthroat, backstabbers in order to get ahead. You don't want that. So as you develop yourself, you got to also look at your character, what type of person you are. And you have to have the mental toughness that when it gets tough, because it will, that's one thing in life that I've learned is there's always going to be hurdles on your track. You got to realize as a person of interest that you are a hurdler and you have the ability to simply jump over those life's hurdles en route to your finish line. And one of the things I always tell, me and my wife talk about this often, is when you look at a horse race, I don't know if you guys have ever seen a horse race live or if you've seen it on TV, on a video. You've never seen a horse running looking backwards. Well, why is that? Because horses are so focused on the finish line that they have no desire to step back at the starting gate. You got to be a horse, a thoroughbred, to run this race.
Oh, I like that one. Be a thoroughbred. Our friend Joe Washington dropped a gem on me the last time we were talking, and he quoted a Latin phrase. He said, "Carpe diem," meaning seize the day.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I definitely have had setbacks And I mean, some of them gut wrenching, and most of us let those setbacks just put a permanent kibosh on our mental health and our success and our goals. But we can't go back. And I love your analogy. Once we're in the race, once we get on that track, if you want to win, and I'm talking to myself right now too, we have to remember to charge forward and run like our life depends on it. I love that. So I'm going to use that.
It's yours, man. Take it.
Thanks for giving me that. I'll quote you a couple times and then I'll adopt it.
You sound just like Joe Watson, stealing quotes.
Man, you know what? Iron sharpens irons, and I am a student of wisdom. And brother, I don't know where you amass all this innate wisdom. But I am glad to know you. I'm glad to have you in my inner circle. And people, if there was ever a person that you want to emulate for a model of resilience and vision, this is one of the brothers that you have to put on your to-do list.
Hey, I appreciate that.
Speaking of our friend Joe Washington, he's the author of Let Average Go, and he does an acronym of average. And the E in the word average stands for enlist the help of a mentor. So, everyone doesn't have hundreds or thousands of dollars to pay one of these expensive coaches. I won't drop any names. I might get a copyright infringement or something. But there's a lot of people out there that cost a lot of money. I can't afford most of them, but you can embrace them through their podcasts, through their blogs, through their books, through watching these videos like this. You can tap into some of the best and the brightest. And that is my promise to you, is I will always bring you the best and the brightest that I have in my sphere of influence. So not knowing Professor Cornell West or Maxwell or somebody like that, I wish Dennis Kimbrough was my uncle. But I read his books and we have conversations all the time, just like he was sitting in my office, man. So that's what I mean is he's way out of my league. One day I hope to get to know him and maybe we could be colleagues. But for now, he's my distant mentor.
Yeah.
I read his books. I emulate his philosophies. I try to glean what I can and apply what fits my personality. But personal development is key.
Yep.
You're not going to reach Apple Podcast top 200 by just sitting on the sidelines and being mediocre.
That part. Well,
go ahead.
Many moons ago, I had the pleasure of touring around the country on UNCF's Empower Me tour with acclaimed actor and best-selling author Hill Harper. And this is my first time meeting Hill. And man, we toured the country for about a year, and he taught me so much without saying a word. And so when I hear people talking about, the mentorship, that's vitally important. I think oftentimes the issue with a number of people is they're looking for the big money coaches or the celebrities to mentor them. And unfortunately, that's a rare occasion that will happen. I was fortunate to be a part of something, but I only became a part of that because I had something to offer. And what I didn't know was Hill used to say to me how much he was learning from me. And I was blown away by this, because at the time I didn't even know he knew my name, because we had two separate roles on the tour. I handled one aspect of the tour, which was the television portion, because we filmed the show. He was the keynote speaker, and eventually I became to introduce him. But one time he came up to me and he said, "Hey, Finch," and I was like, he knows my name. And when I was speaking to one of the reps, said, "Yeah, man, he's been watching you a while." Because he says he likes how you operate and he's learned a lot from you. And so when you think about mentorship, although we oftentimes need people to mentor us, we ourselves have to in turn learn how to be mentors to other people, because everybody has a wealth of information that somebody else need that haven't been heard yet. And if that's why I say stop trying to be a carbon copy of other people, because when you do that, you negate and silence your unique voice, and people need to hear what you have to say. So when you talk about the wisdom I have, man, I got it from God, number one, because I know a lot of stuff I didn't go to school for, I didn't study for. I just know how to do things. I mean, and but also life experiences, learning through trial and error, learning through mistakes. And one of the things about resilience is when you fall, when you get knocked down, because it's going to happen in life, you have to have the mindset to say, although I'm down today, I'm not going to stay here. And because you don't have to, and my wife reminds me of that often. Actually, just yesterday, she told me this, and it's so good to have surround yourself with people. He'll taught me this. Surround yourself with people who have the same vision for you as you have for yourself. Oftentimes people are trying to change who you are as a person because they are oftentimes threatened by you. But when you have people around you who sincerely and genuinely care about you, they want the best for you. So they're going to always tell you the truth. And you need those types of people, especially if you're looking to grow and enhance your life.
I'm glad you said that. I was thinking the exact same thing, and one, it is so important to have your significant other
Right.
actually add to your life.
That part.
If your significant other's main feature is their physical attributes, we have to come stronger than that. We have to value our significant other, and as men, as we have to value our wife, our queen, as a queen, not just some trendy statement,
Right.
but someone who has equal thinking capacity, equal vision, and who has your back for thick and thin. And then I wanted to take it to the next level or expand that just a little bit, because that is one of the primary purposes that I have here at Critical Conversations for my audience, is to pound home the importance of having your own team.
Yes.
Have not only friends, but it's important. It doesn't matter if you work at Walmart, if you're a mechanic, or you're an executive at a Fortune 500 company. Everyone has to have a team surrounding him.
Yep.
I recently started learning how to play chess. And so the king has his queen.
Yeah.
He has the bishop that
Yes.
advises him. He has his inner court.
Yep.
No one can be the best version of themselves without having a wise council of people speaking into their lives, and giving them different perspectives and expanding their vision while supporting them. So you have to build your own kingdom, your own support with your royal court, each one bringing their own additional perspectives and insights to the relationship. So I love that you said that. I definitely want to give kudos to my beautiful queen. Wow, 28 years.
Ah.
And I'm guilty myself. I mean, when I saw her, I was like, wow, I need that. But every year, it was years before I really started appreciating the person and the depth of her character.
Right.
And so after that, every year, every day, I appreciate her more and more for her qualities, her personality, her character. If you seeking a spouse or a mate for anything other than that, it's going to be a rough time. Yeah. We'll be here at Critical Conversations when it isn't working. We can work it out. Maybe some of Finch's panelists might do a guest feature over here, and we can have what's the doctor's name? That lady is something else.
Dr. V, yes.
Oh wow! Now, what is she a doctor of?
That I don't know, but she went to school for a long time for that, and I think it's psychology, clinical
Okay,
studies, or something like that. But yeah, she has a wealth of knowledge and wisdom, and very meek. So she knows how to identify problems and help you resolve them and maneuver through them. So yeah, she's great.
she didn't seem that meek when I watched one of the episodes. Man, they were tearing your guest apart.
which
I
one?
felt
Which one was
sorry for
this?
that guy. Man, he was some kind of coach.
Oh, Mr. Four Quarters.
Yes, yes, yes. Mr. Four Quarters. Now,
Oh
I
man.
didn't go read his bio and all that, but your panelists were trying to give the brother an opportunity to basically vet himself for your audience.
Right, right.
And that Dr. V, man, she's thorough.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
that's some critical thinking par
yeah,
excellence right there. And that's what I mean by critical thinking. Um, that is the kind of person you want in your corner.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so, brother, you've dropped some gems on us. Before we go, are there any other parting words you'd like to give our audience? And before you do that, tell everyone where they can get up with Finch and watch this top 200 Apple Podcasts and iRadio favorites.
Well, once again, thank you for having me on your program. I think this is one of the top up and coming podcasts that I've ever been a part of, and I think it's it's one of those things where we don't have the critical conversations we should have, and not only with other people, but we don't have them with ourselves. And so this is why I respect and love this show, and I hope your audience feels the same way, because this is one of those quality podcasts that you're going to see in the top five and in the top two, and hopefully one day becomes the top podcast, because critical conversations are vitally necessary. And if you want to hit me up and get up with me, I'm on social media. On Twitter, it's Finch with a Z. It's with a Z. And on Instagram, it's Finch official. Just spell it out regular. ITS Finch official. And you can watch Off the Fence with Finch every Tuesday live on YouTube. Just subscribe to our podcast on YouTube. Click on that notification bell so you know every time you're notified. That's the key. People always say, "Hey man, I didn't know the show was on." Did you click on the bell? Yeah, click on the bell. And you can always go to offthefence.com and key in some episodes. But go to those streaming platforms: Apple, iHeart, Pandora, Google podcast, and we just got picked up by Samsung podcast, which I didn't even know Samsung had a podcast platform, but they picked up our podcast last week as well. And any and everywhere podcasts are seen and heard, we are there. So just go check us out, subscribe, like, and share. Very key, very vital. And I hope to see you on the fence very soon so we can get your ass off of it.
Thank you for that information. Thank you again, brother, for coming on. I know you have a lot of other things to do. In case you guys missed it, Finch just did a live podcast in the UK.
Yes.
And there were over 915,000 viewers.
Yes.
I said, I only bring you the best and the brightest.
So part.
People, that's it for this time. Always remember, all the relevant information about myself, about my guests, about my co-host is in the description below. I leave their links so you can get with them. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. Let's make this thing happen.
Can I say one more thing before you go?
Oh yeah, of course.
I want your viewers and your listeners to understand this. Because as you're developing yourself and you're moving towards your goals and objectives, oftentimes we can become self-centered. Come in a little closer so y'all can hear me. I want y'all to take this with you, write this down, keep this in your notes. Everyone doesn't have to lose for you to win. Take that with you.
I love that, Finch. I love that. And I subscribe to that as well. You know, I don't believe in the scarcity principle.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so profound. We're going to leave with that. So people, until we meet again, if you want to be wise, walk with the wise. Don't forget to log on next week and find some of our relevant, critical conversations.